Thank you so much, Frau Schumann. I'm absolutely delighted to be here and to have the opportunity to say a few words of Applied Sciences. I'm very glad you're all here to spend a couple of hours with us, and we'll try to give you very dense information on this potential career path for you. I have a presentation for you that I'd like to go through with you to give you some basics of the UAS7 professorships. And this is all being provided to you by a network of UASs. And this network is called UAS7, standing for the 7 Universities of Applied Sciences. And these 7 universities are from 7 different cities within Germany. The cities that we're based in are Berlin, Bremen, Hamburg, also Cologne, Köln in German, the university in Munich, the university in Osnabrück, and in Münster. So spread out all over Germany in different federal states. And what brings us together is our commitment towards quality of teaching and quality of applied research. We're very strong in that, and we also have a strong international orientation that is manifested in 2 offices that we run. We have a liaison office in New York City, and we also have a representation in South America, in Brazil. And these hubs foster our international collaborations. But of course, we're also active in many other regions of the world. So that's an important focus. And once again, we try to work as a benchmarking organization, trying to help each other to raise our academic standards continuously, both in research and in teaching, in transferring technology to the community, and also in our international exchange. So what I'd like to share with you is an overview of what UAS7s do and where their place is in the German system of higher education. And for doing that, I have a single slide that I'd like to share with you. It's almost a task unfeasible to explain the German system of higher education in just one slide, but I'll give it a try. Here it is. So I have to kind of give you a spoiler that there is no such thing as a German system of higher education, because there's 16 different ones, because we've got 16 different federal states. However, there's some generalizations that can be made. So we have in the German Rectors Conference 87 universities, traditional universities, that are very much focused on basic research. Then there's 102 universities of applied sciences that, as the name implies, are more applied, more practice-oriented in everything they do, especially in their mode of teaching. And then there's 49 other types of universities, such as types like art institutes or pedagogical universities. Now, what has shifted in recent years is the role that traditional universities and universities of applied sciences play. And what has happened is that over recent years, a larger percentage of the student population is enrolled in the universities of applied sciences. So what we've got here is about 40% of all students in Germany today at UAS type universities, and about 50% of all freshmen, incoming students, are studying at UAS. So there's a shift towards UAS, and these numbers are from the fall term 2021. Now, since we had the Bologna reforms all over Europe and some other countries, we have now an equivalence of the bachelor's degrees and the master's degrees, regardless of which type of university granted them. This is very important and makes things much more comparable and makes things easier in transferring credit, for example, also across borders. And I'm very much in favor of this development. And another thing that is currently changing throughout the German states is that more and more universities of applied sciences now are also receiving the right to grant doctoral degrees. We've got that in 4 German states now, and more are going down that road. This is important because it opens the doors for the UAS7s and many others to grant these degrees and further strengthen their research capabilities. So let me move on to what are the major strengths of UAS7 universities. Firstly, there's the high quality of academic teaching. And this is essential because this is at the core of what we do. It's the teaching of our students in the bachelor's and master's programs. And manifestations of that are, firstly, we have very small groups that we teach in. Very typical group size would be 30 or 40 students in a class. So considerably smaller than what we would expect at many of the more traditional universities. That gives us a very good student-faculty ratio with a lot of room for mentoring, for coaching, for the individual student. Secondly, excellent applied research opportunities. Again, application of what we do is important, so the research is applied. There's many opportunities for our professors to engage in such applied research, also in collaboration with third parties. And I will allude to that a little later. There's also the option for reducing teaching load to be able to do even more applied research, which we are, as we're mission driven, very, very eager to do. Thirdly, hands-on and practice-oriented degree programs. So we want to prepare our students to be ready for employment, ready for the job market. And the data shows that we're reaching this goal. Our students are generally achieving earnings in the first couple of years of employment that are equal or higher than the corresponding wages by students from traditional universities. And one of the means of having this practice orientation and job market orientation in our study programs are the mandatory internships of 1 semester for all of our students. And of course, there's also many adjunct professors coming in from industry, coming in from practice to teach classes. Fourthly, deeply rooted in local and regional business and industry. So the networks are very dense. We work with the companies, we work with the small and medium-sized enterprises, we work with the startups in the area in teaching collaboration, in providing topics for the master's and the bachelor's theses, and also, of course, for research projects. Fifthly, driving innovation with SMEs and hidden champions. So we are the go-to destinations for the small, medium-sized enterprises and also for the startups when it comes to academic collaboration. Not only for recruiting our graduates, that's important too, of course, but also for continued education, also for research and things of that sort. And Silke Schumann already mentioned it. We're at an incubator here, a startup incubator by the Berlin participant in UAS7. And this is something that we're very proud of. Our members have these incubators to provide opportunities for our students to start their own companies. And I'm just always delighted to see how many of our students are really eager to start entrepreneurial ventures. And finally, strong international networks. Despite all the local concentration, we also have the strong international networks, hundreds of partner universities virtually all over the world, where our students can go to for a semester, even a year, and equally the partner university students come to us. It's a true exchange, and we do our very best to provide scholarships to facilitate this type of exchange across borders. It's a key element of what we do. Now, what are some of the typical degree programs? Well, by far, engineering and computer science, as well as business administration, economics, are at the center of the topics that we cover. mainly in bachelor's programs, but more and more also in master's programs. But there's many other disciplines in our portfolio as well. Take, for example, design, architecture, social work, healthcare, even public service careers are being taught at our members. So there's a wide range of topics. However, we do not cover all the academic fields. So let's have a closer look at the professorships at UAS7. What could you expect? Well, first, there's rights and there's obligations, of course, for our professors. The mandatory teaching load is 18 hours per week, 18 academic hours, that is. That's quite steep. However, it's something that it can be done. Many generations of professors have proven that it's quite feasible at a high quality level. And these classes are not traditional lectures. They are interactive seminar type classes that we have. A semester, including exam periods, is usually about 18 weeks. During the semester breaks, our professors, of course, engage in research or preparing the next year's classes, things of that sort. And as I mentioned, teaching loads can also be reduced for research purposes, including even a sabbatical semester in a certain, that can be taken in certain intervals. And then finally, you can also pursue other activities, for example, doing some consulting work on the side. That is something that you can apply for and you can seek permission. And it's actually something that we like because we want our professors to engage in practical activities to a certain extent while they're also pursuing their academic activities, which gives us that link to applied work. Now, what is your personal path to a UAS7 professorship? Well, there's a bunch of formal requirements, of course. One of them, obviously, is that you need to have a university degree in the particular field that the professorship is posted as, and then the ability to do scientific research, typically proven by a doctoral degree. So if you've got your university degree and you have your doctoral degree, some of the important formal requirements have already been taken care of. However, there is something that we call the double qualification at UAS type universities, and that is the 5 years of professional experience after graduation with your university degree. And of these 5 years, at least 3 have to be from outside of academia. So typically industry or government work in an area that corresponds to the open position that you're seeking. All right, so 5 years practical experience, thereof 3 outside of academia, all after graduation. So this is very, very important to us. It's the law, but it's also important for our mission because our professors need to have the double qualification. They have to be academically excellent and also practically experienced. And that really sets us apart. Now, these are minimum criteria, meaning that the vast majority of our professors exceed these limitations. So perhaps they would have 7, 8, 9, or even more years of practical experience in industry, even leadership experience. You have to demonstrate your pedagogical skills, usually by experience in teaching or training and mentorship. This will also be tested in a test lecture that you have to give before, in front of the committee. And additionally, the quality and the quantity and the relevance of your scientific publications will also be considered. All of these application requirements should be met by the time your professorship begins, okay? So they don't all have to be in place at the time of application, but they should be there shortly thereafter. And now let's have a look at international applicants, which of course many of you are, given this international roadshow setting today. International professors are usually not required to speak German fluently right away. However, we do expect you, if you don't yet speak German, to learn the language rapidly, so you could be teaching in English and in German. Universities will provide guidance on immigration issues, of course, for you and your family. You can also be eligible to serve as not as a regular employee, but as a civil servant for the government in a professorship in Germany. If you are a EU citizen or EEC citizen or Swiss citizen, and in some other cases, depending on individual conditions, this status could also apply to citizens from countries outside of the mentioned areas. But this is something that we will need to have a look at in more detail. So the application process is pretty straightforward. We advertise a vacancy in multiple media. You apply to this respective application, this respective university, and then you interview with us. Now, what does this mean? It means that you interview with the members of the committee, the search committee, but you also give this test lecture in front of real students, and the committee will be watching you and assessing you during the lecture. This is very important. Then once you are shortlisted, hopefully, we will then select from the shortlist. There's several other university committees involved, such as the department committee and also the academic senate. And once you've gone through all of these steps, you negotiate your terms with the president of the university. And if that goes well, you become a UAS7 professorship. So finally, I'm coming to the end. Once again, congratulations to all of you. Congratulations for being here. Congratulations for seeking information. We hope we can provide as much information today to you as possible. Please do ask questions, as Silke Schumann already mentioned. It is a very good time right now to be interested in a UAS7 or UAS professorship. Why is that so? Because there are so many openings. Our university type is growing. The demand for professors is high. There's a shortage in many fields. So it's a good time to look at this career path and to see how you can best qualify to get ready, get all the elements ready, all the qualifications ready to send in your application, favorably, of course, to one of the UAS7 universities. Thanks so much, and I'll hand it back to Silke Schumann.
Yes.